Sie hören Sport und Musik.
Das Spiel ist aus! Deutschland ist Weltmeister!
In a world where fans fight over whether to call it football, or soccer, two German men defy the odds and call it Fußball. Bringing you inside the German-American football experience. And now, here are your hosts, the Schnitzel Boys.
Monday night is Schnitzel night.
That's right.
That's
I could do with a schnitzel.
Oh yeah.
I would eat one.
It is the American Football Show, and you know there's a fast food chain here on the West Coast called the Wiener Schnitzel, and it's a drive-through. You get a drive-through schnitzel.
You get a drive-through schnitzel? Now that's America, man. Amazing.
Schnitzel fries, Coke. It's called the
Amazing.
Wiener Schnitzel, and right down the street from Wiener Schnitzel is a restaurant called the Doghouse, and on the Doghouse underneath it says the absolute worst.
A pun! A pun!
Heyo. Right next to each other in Burbank. So, you know, German fast food.
The drive-through schnitzel thing, it's hard. I can't imagine eating a schnitzel while driving. It's not really,
I don't get it either.
It's not really meant for. It's not really. It's two hands. You can't eat it. I mean, I guess you could if it was. Yeah, you could just.
They put it in a bun. I might be misrepresenting it. Maybe it's just like
putting it in a
burger
bun.
Stands.
What?
Well, no, I haven't been. I've never been. The dirty little secret to this schnitzel boy is I'm a vegetarian, so I don't eat schnitzel. Maybe they have a vegetarian or a Beyond Schnitzel one of these days. The Bio Beyond. What's Beyond?
I mean, it's mostly breading. In most fast food iterations, there's very little meat in there anyway.
I'll just eat the breading, which is I can't think of anything more unhealthy for me. Just eat breading.
Just eat the
breading, fries, and a Coke.
I had a big. I ordered. This is not schnitzel, but it's German fast food related. I ordered some currywurst sauce.
Yeah.
Because at Amazon, because there was some. In this one of these group chats that I'm in, there was some talk about like how do you make a currywurst, and I gave some instructions, and then I got so excited that I ordered some of my own. I'll see if it turns out to be authentic.
Yeah, I've been a currywurst fiend for years. I've gotten to a point where I'm pretty happy with my home recipe, but then when I go back home to Hamburg or whatever at my grandparents, and I order from the local currywurst bude, the currywurst stand, it's always twice as good. It's just like, dang, how do they do this? How do they freaking do this? Not everywhere's a great currywurst. There are places I go, and the currywurst was very disappointing. When I was at the Rhein, I had a very disappointing currywurst. Yeah, or it's just like weird. Like it's a different recipe or something. It's like no.
Or the sausage is bad. Yeah.
Or the sausage is bad.
I said in my instructions, I said that the viscosity is important. It's somewhere between thicker than soup, thinner than ketchup, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Agree? Yeah, I agree with that. Okay. And also, I just use the regular. I just get Hungarian curry or something for sprinkling, and there's a good chance that that's probably the wrong curry I'm sprinkling it with. You know, that matters that much. But anywho, where you are in New York, there's a great place called Pommes Frites, which makes sort of European style fries. Yes. They have a curry sauce too, not amazing, but the fries are very good. And it's just worth the fries.
Yeah, those fries are good. Yeah. I have had those fries. Yeah, because the fries, you don't really make it home. Although even in the process of thinking about all this, I even watched a video today about how to make solid fries at home. It just seems like a lot of work.
Yeah, it's like you have to double fry it or something. You have to fry it twice.
Yeah, it needs two fries. In between has to rest in the refrigerator for it to be really crispy. Yep. So
it's called blanching.
Too much. Blanching. Yeah, exactly.
You cut fry shapes out of a potato, you blanch it, which is you boil it a little bit so it just starts to crisp. Then you put it in the fridge overnight pretty much, and then you fry it again. And that's sort of like in a nutshell.
Well,
kind
even
of a thing.
before you do that first step, you put them in the fridge, according to this guy.
Oh, really?
So that, yeah, you put them in the fridge twice in between each. This was a person on the Epicurious website who seemed very confident, but it would take 3 days.
3 days for one.
Oh.
Same with homemade pizza. Like, I love the idea of it, but it's just so much effort for something that's going to take me 5 minutes to eat. And it's like, I'll just buy a professional. I'll just buy stuff. I'll outsource that.
Yeah, exactly.
Let someone else do that.
There's other.
I have found, if we're doing a little fry talk, my favorite frozen fry are the Nathan's fries. You know how Nathan's hot dogs makes their big old fries? They're just big and they're soft and they're fluffy. And whenever I fry them, they just come out the best. Because a lot of times my fries, they come out either soggy or too crispy. But Nathan's, it has a lot of room for error. So if it's a little too well done or a little under well done, they're still big, soft, fluffy, crispy fries. Tom, we got Tom in the chat. I make home brewed mead. Oh,
Ooh.
Are you a Ren Fair man, Tom? Here in LA, the Ren Fair is in town, and it's fun and exciting, and I might head out. It's Ren Fair time. But anyway, so to add to that Nathan's French fry thing, I can't find it here on the West Coast. I find Nathan's onion rings, but I can't find the Nathan's French fries.
I've given up. I've given up on frozen French fries.
Good for you. They're not good for you. You shouldn't be.
Yeah.
No, you're doing it right. Making
It
them
doesn't
fresh.
seem.
Is the way to do
it
it.
doesn't seem worth it. It's like, yeah, the only reason. Yeah, fries. Yeah, exactly. They're not good for you, so they have to be. They have to be peak quality for me to eat them. You don't like mediocre fries. There's no point. Better just to not eat them.
I agree. Speaking of mediocre, we had Bundesliga action this weekend.
Speaking of mediocre, what is what? Okay.
Well, where do we even begin?
Where do we begin?
The more exciting part of the race, I guess, these days is on the bottom of the table.
You think you've given up? Bayern's got this?
No, I haven't given. Like Bayern München. Okay, we'll go up top. Bayern München got their win against Werder Bremen. Werder Bremen got a last-minute goal, late goal to pull it back, and there was an excitement. It's like, can Bremen tie it? And Bremen got close, and it was they almost dropped points, but Bayern got their 3 points. And then the next day, Dortmund just slammed Wolfsburg.
Yeah, they really did. They really did.
They're like, I mean, but again, it's one of those things where it's like, where was this 2 weeks ago? Come on, boys. I know you really want to win it, but you already dropped your points. Now, the big game is still in 2 weeks, Bayern, Leipzig. Can Leipzig get points off Bayern? Because Dortmund has put their name in the sand. That's not the right. They put their sword in the sand? They put their name in the hat.
They put a line in the sand? They drew a line in the sand? They put
drew
their
a
name
line
in the hat?
They drew a line in the sand, and they said...
I'm not sure what you're trying to say.
I know, essentially, Dortmund are like, we're here for real. We're going to win every game for the rest of the season. Bayern München, can you keep up? That's what the game on Sunday was all about. If I didn't know any better, against a Wolfsburg who's had a pretty mixed season. We've talked through the gauntlet from Tom.
Yeah.
Tom said through the gauntlet. Dortmund through the gauntlet. They're like, we're not screwing up the rest of this season. So, Bayern, it's on you. Can you beat Leipzig? The big game, Bayern, Leipzig, 2 weeks. Mark your calendars.
But Bayern has looked shaky in all of their recent. They looked like they could drop points against anyone right now. They just are not. They're just not a confident group, and they are surviving these games. But they're not. It's not convincing. So I think they could still drop points. I mean, Dortmund. They're going to lose Jude Bellingham, right? Jude Bellingham's going to Real Madrid, supposedly. It's not official, but it seems like that's what's happening. Dortmund, if they don't win the title, they're going to be upset. They're going to kick themselves because they have had a lot of opportunities and they've, like Bayern keeps giving them chances. And I think they're going to get one more. I think Dortmund will get one more chance. I still think if Dortmund win their last 3 games, they're going to win it all. I think Bayern is going to drop points somewhere. But it's not clear that they can. It's not clear that they aren't going to stumble themselves at some point because they just haven't been consistent enough. And they did, but yeah, they did beat Wolfsburg. And even looked like, Union could have even come close, but they lost at Augsburg. So now obviously it's a two team race. But the Champions League.
Freiburg has been losing to Leipzig over and over and over again. That's their bogey team.
Yeah.
Leipzig got them last year, and they just got them twice in a row this week. So Freiburg is.
And Bayer Leverkusen lost. That was the first game of the derby. Somebody was saying on Twitter, I think Manuel Veth who said on Twitter that it's when Köln wins, it's a derby. When Leverkusen wins, it's just a regular game. And so in this case, it was a derby because Köln won on the road at Leverkusen, and that then now pretty much all but officially ended Bayer's run at a Champions League spot. They're not going to get there, but so now the Champions League. There's 3 spots for two spots for 3 teams: Leipzig, Union, and Freiburg.
Yeah, one of them is going to miss out. One of them is going to. Leipzig put themselves firmly in 3rd place, which they haven't been in quite some time, I believe.
Yeah, they have. They now on the home stretch are in that spot that we thought they should be in all year. But yeah, that was a big win for them on the road in Freiburg.
Yeah. So, if Dortmund lose by a point, how much focus is going to be on that missed penalty in the Bochum game, right? The one with the referee. He essentially, poor guy, essentially that's going to have a lot more weight, and he potentially cost them the title, if you want to boil it down to moments like that, which is unfair, as there are many moments throughout the season. However, it's just the time and place of it.
You can find countless. Like, this is what is so crazy about these. I mean, I was thinking about this also today. There were a lot of Premier League games that all had relegation implications, and it's just such a random. It's such a random game. Soccer is just it's low scoring. It's really, it just turns on these couple moments and whatever. I mean, it sort of depends on what your outlook on life is almost. Is it luck? Is it coincidence? Is it just random? Does the superior effort and preparation pay off? Who knows? But it's like it turns on these tiny moments, and it doesn't seem sensible that like gazillions of dollars should be riding on that kind of thing. That this is. I was thinking about that this weekend. That it's like it's disproportionate. It's like it's. I mean, this is obviously hugely, and more so even in the Premier League than in Germany. But like these the because it's also so hard to get back. Consider all things considered in England, and so. It's just these enormous financial implications on these pretty random outcomes, or in this case, a decision by a referee. It's just it's hard, I feel for these people. I feel for everybody involved. It's the pressure must be enormous, and people are trying, but you're just it's not. There's a lot of luck involved or random stuff.
Well, true, but certain clubs know how to win and certain clubs are destined to lose. If you look at the bottom of the table, Bochum had a rough weekend, didn't they? Hoffenheim.
Well, Bochum.
I want to give Hoffenheim a little bit of a shout out. We'll talk about that in a bit. Under Pellegrino Matarazzo, his first 5 games in charge were losses, but over the last few weeks he's turned it around. Him and John Brooks. Our old friend John Brooks have turned it around, and Hoffenheim is picking up points, and they're sitting in 14th spot right now. They're 4 points out of the relegation zone, so that gives them a little bit of a buffer. Stuttgart picked up some points, right? Or did they? No, Hertha beat Stuttgart.
No, Hertha beat Stuttgart. Yeah,
so they picked up points.
So they're back in the running. For Bochum, Bochum has had a rough few weeks. The difference now is that the other teams are picking up points. Bochum
got a point against Dortmund last week, right?
Yeah, that's true, but it's all, these points, they need a win. They haven't won in a long time, and everybody else was losing or doing a lot of losing. So these kind of moral victory points here and there were enough to kind of keep them afloat. But now that the other teams are winning, it's not looking good. And so
Schalke got a big win over Mainz, which was surprising because Mainz is having a great season.
That was a huge win on the road in stoppage time. Mm-hmm. I was a little upset about that. So they now all of a sudden have 30 points and sit in 15th place. So yeah, it's not. I don't know. It's not looking good. The Bochum have Augsburg at home, and then they're on the road at Hertha. And Hertha, I thought I had written off, but they're now also, they can with a win against Bochum at home, they can pull themselves right back. So yeah, no, it's not looking good.
Bottom of the table, very exciting. Schalke versus Bayern München will be an interesting game. That's next week. Because Schalke, like I said, they got one on Mainz, and Mainz, if we remember, beat Bayern. So
that means Schalke is for sure going to beat Bayern. That's science.
Not
That's
for sure,
science.
But the motivation is there. Schalke really needs their points against Bayern. So Bayern could very well drop points as early as your birthday, Saturday, May 13th. Mm-hmm. Coming up this week. Going back to the chat, Tom says Adeyemi is leaving as well.
Leaving. Yeah. Do we know where he's going?
I don't know. Did he already put pen to paper on something?
I don't think anything's official as far as I know. But
anyway, Borussia Dortmund showcases all these great kids just for like a good farm club for clubs to come in and swoop them out. Like I said, Bellingham is linked to a club like Real Madrid, and then Adeyemi, maybe will make his way even to Bayern or the Prem or also Barcelona or something. They're going on to what they would consider to be greener pastures. So Dortmund needs to win while they have their players.
Yeah, I think
we need to win now.
Yeah, I think, like I said, I think they're gonna think. I mean, you could say if they don't win this year, they never will. I mean, it's really, they're having a great opportunity.
I almost say that about them every year, though. So we have an excitement at the bottom. That's a big turn. Was it a musical set of chairs? Bochum currently second from bottom. Hertha maybe will crawl themselves out. Stuttgart still uncertain. We'll see. Hoffenheim looking like they're in the right direction. That's going to change a lot. Up top, definitely Dortmund and Bayern. But I want to look a little bit at the middle of the table with our friends at Eintracht Frankfurt. Now, I want to put a little focus on one of my favorite coaches. On this podcast, you've heard me talk very well of this coach. And I'm talking about Oliver Glasner.
Oliver Glasner. Mm-hmm.
One of my favorites. But he's under a lot of pressure right now. Eintracht Frankfurt sit in 9th position, which is the worst they've been since 2011, apparently, which surprises me. Because I always consider Frankfurt to be a mid-table club. But I guess they think a little higher of themselves, as they should. And they've had some good seasons as of late. But under Oliver Glasner, there's a lot of pressure on him. And rumors are that former, what's his face, assistant from Bayern München. He fired 2 weeks ago. He's already out of my mind. Julian Nagelsmann. His assistant, Dino Topmüller, son of former great Klaus Topmüller, is lined up to take over the Frankfurt position this summer. They already want to get rid of Oliver Glasner after one season. Now, Eintracht Frankfurt are in the DFB Cup finale, right? Mm-hmm. Eintracht Frankfurt, it's going to be Frankfurt and Leipzig, right? Isn't that the DFB, the Pokal final?
Mm-hmm. That's true. Well, they haven't won a game in the Bundesliga since February.
Frankfurt?
Frankfurt.
That's quite a stat because they were doing well and must have dropped points, but they're still in line for a title this year. I mean, I don't know. Do you feel that's fair? Is the pressure on coaches with the news of Julian Nagelsmann being fired while they were leading the league, and now a coach just led Frankfurt to the DFB Pokal final, which realistically is the only title a club like that can really win every season. Is it fair to let a guy like that go?
Well, I mean, fair? What's fair? I don't know. I don't know if it's fair, but it seems. But he is definitely under. I mean, you. We should go in order because I heard the president of Eintracht Frankfurt talk today, and he definitely. Well, you have a clip, right?
I do. This happened right after the Hoffenheim game, where our boy Pellegrino Matarazzo got the better of him, and Hoffenheim won. And then Oliver Glasner was under a little bit of pressure. So I'm going to play a fun little clip. And Bjorn, you might have to do some honors for us.
Let's do it.
Let's see. I'm going to take this right off YouTube. Can you see that?
I can see it.
All right. And can you hear this?
So den Eindruck, die Mannschaft hat es realisiert. Haben Sie das
sofort.
Gestern Abend gab es Steilvorlagen aus Mainz und in Leverkusen, aber man hatte so den Eindruck, die Mannschaft hat es nicht realisiert.
Nein, Sie muss ich sofort eingreifen.
Okay.
Bitte, ich habe das schon oft gesagt, hört auf damit, der Mannschaft irgendwas mit nicht kapieren, mit keinem Einsatz vorzuwerfen. Jetzt erzähle ich euch mal was.
Okay. Yeah, so the question is a reporter asking very calmly Oliver Glasner whether that they had a big opportunity here. Ein Steilpass. They got an assist, a potential assist from Mainz and Leverkusen, meaning that they lost. So prior to this game, so they had an opportunity to move up the table with a win, and it seemed to this reporter that the team didn't seem to really realize that they had this opportunity. And Oliver Glasner interrupts him and says that he really takes issue with that. This idea of they don't realize or they don't understand the opportunity, or they're not like giving it all they have. Like, that is really not the case.
Ja, der alte Makoto Hasebe ist 39, der spielt das dritte Mal 90 Minuten in dieser Woche am Ende der Saison, wo wir unser 43. Pflichtspiel haben. So, der hat teilweise nach dem Spiel Blut im Urin, weil er so kaputt ist. Und was macht er? Er spielt wieder. Und jetzt mangelt ein Einwurf. Hört mir mit diesem Müll auf. Sorry.
All right. So, so he's quoting his Makuno Hatete. Is that the name of the player? He's a 39-year-old player. He goes for 90 minutes for the third game in a week. This is their 43rd game of the season, and this guy he gives everything, and sometimes he has blood in his urine after games because he's going so hard. And so he does not. It's not the case that people are not trying. Like, people are giving everything for the team, and so he doesn't want to hear this.
And he says sorry at the end,
Sorry.
which I love.
Sorry.
An English is like an English adopted word of which
Sorry,
there's so
sorry, not sorry.
Sorry, not sorry.
Will ich nichts mehr sagen. Ich weiß, was die Jungs hier leisten. Ja? Und dann akzeptiert es mal, dass eine Hoffenheimer Mannschaft gewinnen kann. Aber hört mir auf mit nicht kapieren, mit keinem Einsatz und keinem Charakter. Diese Mannschaft bestreitet das zweite Finale im zweiten Jahr. Die gehen für die Eintracht durchs Feuer.
So he's saying, yeah, he doesn't want to hear it about, you can accept that sometimes a team like Hoffenheim can win a game. Like, that's something, that's a normal thing. And so, but this idea of like they don't give everything, they're in the second cup final 2 years in a row, and these people are giving everything for the club, and so he doesn't want to hear it.
Yeah, he doesn't want to hear that they don't understand it, they don't have
They
character.
don't understand, or they don't care, or they don't.
Right.
Yeah.
Sie haben gesagt, Sie haben es nicht kapiert. Natürlich haben Sie es kapiert. Sie konnten nicht anders
Ich habe Sie
heute.
gefragt, ich weiß auch nicht, warum Sie mich so anschreien, aber es macht nichts. Die nächste Frage ist, die Spieler wollten sich heute nicht äußern. Wer hat das entschieden? Die Spieler selbst?
Okay.
Yeah, they have and then
Ich war auf der Tribüne.
it's such real
What is
calmness.
this last one?
Hey, I'll do it one more time. This is funny. Where was it?
Ich weiß auch nicht, warum Sie mich so anschreien, aber es macht nichts. Die nächste Frage ist, die Spieler wollten sich heute nicht äußern. Wer hat das entschieden? Die Spieler selbst?
Ich war auf der Tribüne.
So
Well, at first he's like, I want to ask why you're yelling at me, but that's not going to do anything.
yeah,
So
the
that's-
journalist is like, well, I'm not sure why you're screaming at me, but okay, it's fine. And then he then he asks,
You're at the journalist's feelings. The journalist is like, I don't want to bring up why you're yelling at me.
and he asks why the players were not available for any comments after the game, and Oliver Glasser said, "Well, I was in the stands because I guess he got red carded." Right?
He got a red card during the game.
So he's like,
yeah.
so he didn't had no. The reporter wanted to know whose decision that was, and he just shrugs and is like, "Well, I was in the stands."
But you can see the reason I share that clip is like he's sort of had enough. The pressure's on him, and he's feeling that. What that led to the response for the sporting director or the president or the
yeah, and the
out.
president he had a I didn't prepare that clip to play, but I was surprised because the president did not have his back at all.
No.
He basically was like, yeah, that was not the right decision, and I'm sure he regrets yelling. This is not the way to do it. And and the president basically was talking about how this was just a sign of the general lack of discipline that's in the squad. And there's a lot of complaining about the referee, and so he did not like that. So the president said, like, this is a symptom of a larger problem. And he addressed what you were saying. He was like, yeah, it's nice that they're in a cup final, but he says their bread and butter is the Bundesliga, and that's where they have not done as well as they feel like they should, and that's where the focus needs to be. And so he does not want he's not happy with this lack of discipline. And so yeah, I was surprised to hear that, because yeah, I mean, it seems like Tom is saying it's commendable for standing up for his players. Yeah, I think that is probably why he did that. He wants to have the team's back, but
it's very clear that
he
not
does
getting
not
the support.
He does not have
club.
the full support from his club, and so he may
They're already talking about new coaches and stuff.
Fair or not, it looks like he may be out. Yeah.
Well, there's 3 important games this season, and on all he can read about is how Dino Topmuller is going to take his job. Now, what kind of motivation is he going to have to do anything with this club? I don't know. It's just weird how they're just like putting him out to pasture.
But I think
give him a little support.
Yeah, and this also, I think this also ties into what I was saying before. It's a little, it's like we like to, we like to sort of reconstruct these narratives after we see the result. Like, oh, the team lost, so you might every decision you've made in your life up to this point was wrong.
Right.
And so,
right.
But the reality is, it's small margins. These teams are not separated by all that much. And like he's saying, it's like, oh yeah, so we lost to Hoffenheim. Yeah, shit happens. And
right.
The other guys get paid as well. And so I think, I've just been noticing that a lot, where these games kind of turn on these fine margins, where somebody, where a goal gets scored late or whatever, and then it's like, oh yeah, everything, the coach got this right, and it's like, it's small margins.
Yeah.
And I understand that he feels his nerves are a little raw, and he's feeling the pressure.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, I still love Oliver Glasner. You can tell he's a very passionate dude. I think he did great work in his jobs before Wolfsburg, and despite what's going on in Frankfurt, they won a title last year. They're going to win They could very well win a title again this year. I don't know. I mean, I stress a little more patience in general. It seems like people are ready to fire. When you look over at Freiburg, Christian Streich has been losing all his big games as of late. But Christian Streich has been there for a while. He's their coach. They go through it. It's not, you don't win every day. It's ebbing and it's flowing. So, I think at the end of the day, me personally, it encourages this coaching carousel where clubs are just excited to talk about their next coach, and just as excited as they are to talk about how they're going to sell their players. when it's like, just stick with your guys sometimes. Stick with your coach. Try to keep your players a little longer. Try to build something, working together. I don't know. It just,
But yeah,
I'm just curious. I'm just curious as to why that's what's going on. The
think
high chopping block of the Bundesliga. Let's call it.
I think this is borne out often, right? By I think there's some studies that show this, that continuity is usually better long term. But results are everything, and as long as you win, I mean, Freiburg, obviously they're still overachieving by their standards, and so then you have some leeway. I mean, that's for better or worse. The results are everything, even though,
for instance,
sometimes
Urs
there's some.
Fischer. Let's say next season Union Berlin are more mid-table than top of the table. Urs Fischer will get sacked probably. And it's like the fact that they're doing what they're doing is a freaking miracle. The fact that they're as high as they are right now is amazing. They're making wonders. That's not going to last forever. Like when Claudio Ranieri was fired half a year after he won the Prem with Leicester City. It's like he won the Prem with Leicester City. You should have given him a 10-year contract after
But that's
that.
always that's the nature of it, right? What have you done for me lately? I mean, in
Look
Chelsea,
at Leicester now. Look
you
at Leicester
see this,
now.
yeah, you see this. I mean, in England, the like I was saying before, I think in England the fear of relegation is so strong, so that whenever there's any kind of threat of that, people get very, very nervous very quickly, and because it's so hard once you go down, it's so hard to come back up. But yeah, you saw this with Tuchel in Chelsea. You've seen this a couple times where people win the Champions League and then get fired 6 months later.
Right.
Yeah.
So how do you think Bochum is like perfectly ready for relegation? He said some people are nervous. I think Bochum is like, yeah, that's fine. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think they have had to at least. I mean, they always have that in the back of their minds as a possibility. And I think this year, I mean, I have had limited belief, as you know, all throughout the year. I thought we would go the way of Fürth last year, and was then pleasantly surprised. We had some runs where we were competitive, and then we were, like I said, we were helped by the other teams losing so much. But now that it's going down to the wire, I don't know. Like, I mean, but they're ready. I think their contracts are usually valid for both first or second Bundesliga. Like, I think they'll be. I think they'll be ready one way or another. Yeah, for sure. Now, the newest wrinkle of today, I don't know if you've heard that, is Hertha Berlin has trouble with their license. Might have trouble with getting their license for next season because they have all this debt and they need to reduce their spending, etc. And so they have a partnership with an investor that may not fulfill the requirements of the 50+ run rule. Anyway, so Hertha has all kinds of. So there's also a scenario where Hertha passes Bochum, but then gets relegated because they lose their license
for financial reasons.
So for financial reasons.
So the Bochum fans are like default.
So so this may extend past the drama may extend past the final match day. I don't think we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, the fans are reading financial news every day. That's funny. Well, and then how does the big change from is it Thomas Reis, who's the old coach?
Thomas Reis, yeah.
From Bochum to Schalke, how did that turn out? That almost turned out for a while that Bochum was on the winning side of that decision.
Yeah,
because remember when that first half and kickers, like one of those two will be the Bundesliga next year, and it's going to be Thomas Reis, what they said. Now we're looking at it, it's like maybe, but honestly, for a long time, it didn't look like that. It didn't look like the other way around.
Well, in Schalke, I thought he was going to do well, but it did take them a little while to get it together. But now it does look like he may have the last laugh in this situation. I mean, there was definitely, I don't know, we don't need to dig into it too far, but there is definitely there were some issues behind the scenes, with not just Reis but Schinzelords leaving, who was a great sporting director. They didn't seem to quite get along with the president, and so I did not think that squad was competitive, and they've done better than I thought they would. And if they survive, I'll be ecstatic. But I haven't believed all year, and I don't really believe now.
Well, we'll see how that turns out. So the Twisty, we've got 3 weeks left, and it's very exciting because up top and on the bottom, every week it's just do, till we stumble into our final positions. Later this week, Bayer Leverkusen, the last German club in Europe, goes to Roma to play Jose Mourinho's Roma. Are you going to be a fanboy and root on the German club like me, Bjorn?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, they're the only team left. Rooting against Mourinho is also always fun. So
love it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm ready.
Love it. So good luck, Bayer Leverkusen. Do you have any other last thoughts on German soccer?
the only thing that sort of caught my eye either yesterday or today is Sepp Maier. Sepp Maier, goalie legend, spoke publicly, which he doesn't.
Kahn.
What's that? Yeah, defending Oliver Kahn. Yeah, and saying some interesting. He's not one. He doesn't seem to be part of the Bayern brass that is constantly in the media, and he seems a little more reserved, and we don't hear from him all the time. So
right.
I thought it was interesting. He had some interesting quotes where he was explaining the Mia San Mia. He feels like the current squad is not only Kimmich and Müller maybe are truly identified with the club, and so the culture is suffering. He did not support the firing of the goalie coach, of Manuel Neuer's friend, the goalie coach. He didn't think that was a good idea. He had an interesting take on Sadio Mane. He said that everybody was saying, "Oh, that's a great deal. That's such a coup to get him." But he was like, "Do you think that Pep Guardiola or Jurgen Klopp sell a top talent for 50 million euro?" He was basically saying that Bayern got hosed in this deal, which I thought that was an interesting.
I think that's unfair, right? I think that's a little unfair. Sadio Mane had a great season last year. He was invaluable to Liverpool.
Yeah,
he proved his worth.
I think, like I've said that before, the people of Liverpool are upset that he's gone, and but yeah, I thought that was interesting. Sepp Maier thinks that they got hosed. He likes Jan Sommer, but he thinks Neuer is better, and he thinks Neuer has a few more years in him. He thinks that he himself could have played until 45 if he hadn't had his accident. So he defended Oliver Kahn, but then the I think the thing that most stood out, that it's like, why he was asked why is this such a crazy, why is there so much unrest this season, and he said because they're not winning everything.
Yeah, but the thing is they are winning. That's the crazy about
not as much. They're not as dominant as they have been, and they're in a real title fight. They're out of the Champions League. They're out of the Cup, and then as long as you're successful, everything gets sort of tapered over.
But if Bayern München win the league, which is very realistic, well, Oliver Kahn might still be fired, or at least not. His contract won't be renewed. And to me, I think that's crazy. You're winning is winning the league title. Have they won it so much it's just not that important anymore?
I doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like they are being led well right now. And I don't know whose fault that is, if it's Kahn but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. There's also the end of an era with Lewandowski. There's a bunch of people. I mean, I think we're going to see some decline here of Bayern. I don't think if they don't lose this year, I don't think they're just going to rebound. I think there are some structural issues there behind the scenes that are that there's going to be more. It's going to be more competitive in the future. That's my prediction.
Yeah,
they have not done well in terms of putting together their squad, and I think that's gonna. I mean, the problem, like always, is anybody else going to take advantage? Is anybody else going to be competitive enough? But
that's the thing. Bayern München, with all their quote-unquote troubleness, they're still top of the table, and it's for other clubs like Dortmund and Leipzig to get in there. Now, I was just thinking about this today. First, I just want to address Hans Wolf is now in the chat. Hello, Hans Wolf. Hello, Jung. Started early, or am I late? We are at the tail end of our Germany hour, and we're starting our USA hour in a couple of minutes. So you are late for the Germany hour, but early to the USA hour. Yeah, perfect as always. But anywho, how next season has the potential to be really, really exciting. If Bayern München keep up their ways, if Dortmund can finally keep, they still have a lot of great youngsters, even if they get rid of Jude Bellingham. I mean, if they get rid of Bellingham and Adeyemi, then who knows what they're going to be like next year. Dortmund is such a variable. They get rid of all their players the minute they can win. But if Bayer Leverkusen keeps up what they're doing into next season, they'll be a bigger factor. Maybe RB Leipzig will have more luck next year, and they won't have so many injuries. They'll have Gulashi back, Timo Werner, and most importantly, Nkunku for the whole season, hopefully.
No, Nkunku is going to Chelsea.
Has that been signed, sealed, delivered?
That's been signed, for a while. Mm-hmm.
Oh, well then. See? Maybe not. Never mind what I just said. At least we got Bayer Leverkusen next year. Bayer Leverkusen. I would love to see them go in there.
Could be contenders. Yeah, the Verfolger watch is on. Hans is saying that Köln is not going to go to Europe. Yeah, that seems. They had a big win though. Had a big win against Leverkusen, but no, they're not making it to Europe.
No, I mean, I think Mainz is going to be the surprise package as far as they're going to get some good European time. Let me just get one last look at the table before we say goodbye to Germany hour. Bayern, Dortmund, Leipzig, Berlin, Freiburg, Leverkusen are in the Europa Liga, followed right by Wolfsburg and Mainz. So Mainz still has a shot. They're about one win away from that Europa Liga spot. Wolfsburg 2 points off. So we'll see.
Yeah, Bayern against Schalke this weekend. Dortmund against Gladbach, both presumably easy games. Bochum at home against Augsburg. Fingers crossed. That is almost a must-win, I guess, at this point. Although who knows? It's
a 6-pointer for both. Augsburg's only in 13th spot.
Augsburg is still sort of not totally safe. If they win that game, they would be safe.
And then speaking of Hertha, they're on Friday at Köln. So we'll see if Köln can do the job.
I'm a Köln fan. I'm a Köln fan on Friday, Hans.
Cool. Any last thoughts on Deutsches Fußballwoche, German Soccer Weekly?
All right. I got nothing.
All right. It's halftime on Schnitzel Night. Coming up next, over on the other stream, we've got the USA Hour, where we continue our talk about coaches and changes and whatnot going into the USA Hour. Thank you all very much for joining us. Just a reminder, or again, it's something I need to say every week, we've got merch. Go on the link in the description below.
The Schnitzel Boys Etsy.
Schnitzel Boys merch. We got shirts.
The mugs are flying off the shelves.
We got the mugs are flying off the shelves. Good quality mugs. All right, boys. See you in the USA Hour, or if you're just in it for the Germany stuff, see you next week. So we get to see how the table looks, how Leverkusen fared in Roma, and what's going on in the daily Bayern soap opera. Tschüss. Bis nächste Woche.
Ja.
Ja.